We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay!
Welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Is your little one hitting, throwing things, or just showing aggressive behaviors and you don't know how to make it stop? You've come to the right place. In today's episode, number 97, we'll help you find where this behavior is coming from and share some helpful ways you can respond. This question was submitted by one of our nurturing mamas, and I'm sure plenty of us can relate. I know I can. My 3 and 1-year-old kick. Sometimes she thinks she's a ninja turtle and she wants to punch me, and it drives me insane. So if you have any questions for us, we welcome you to send them over to us so we can help you and you can help more families in similar situations. You can DM us on Instagram. You can reach out through our email that is in our show notes. And Amma is always there. Well, she responds to you as soon as she can, and then we release these episodes just so we can get the information out to more mamas who are most likely going through similar things. All right, so let's get into this week's conversation.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you.
Silly you.
Hey, I'm Serena. I'm a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly questioned myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them. But I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Lisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is strengthening our bond as a family.
And hi, I'm Lisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an amma. And I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching. And I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast, each week we will explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family. Our question this month is from Jess, who writes, "Right now, I'm struggling with hitting and acts of aggression when my daughter doesn't get her way or gets upset." Jess, I'm right there with you. Same thing happens. My daughter has started kicking me sometimes, or whatever she has in her hand, she'll throw it across the room. So thank you, Jess, for writing to us with this emotionally charged topic, which we know you are not alone in dealing with. It can be so challenging when our littles lash out at us or act aggressively to others. For me, I know it brings up my childhood trauma because my dad would have been like, Who do you think you are hitting me? How dare you? And that's exactly how I feel when my kid hits me. How dare you hit your mom? And it
Mm.
breaks my heart. It really does. Sometimes I want to cry.
Mm-hmm. It's emotionally charged for sure.
Yeah. In fact, another mama had written to us about this very topic as well. So thanks also to Malia for your question about how to deal with acts of aggression. There are a few things in the world of parenting that can really get us into immediate reactionary mode, and hitting and aggression is definitely one of them. And
Yeah.
Jess gave us some examples to work with if you want to go through those, Amma.
Okay, sure. So in her first example, Jess says, whenever my daughter sees my mom, she gets so excited to see her, but then she hits her. She'll slap her really hard across the face. We say gentle hands, we don't hit, and we show her what to do. Then she'll say sorry, she'll feel really bad, she'll rub gently, but then she'll do it right away again. No one laughs or does anything to make her think that behavior is okay, but she still continues to do it. Ooh, that sounds like a really tricky one. And I'll get to that in a bit. The other example is a bit more general. Jess says that my toddler has a pretty big anger problem and she can be so sweet at the same time. But when she gets mad, she will throw things, hit things, and try to break things. Yeah, we hear you. Mama Serena's right there with you. So,
Mm-hmm.
and like we said, this is one of the most emotionally charged things that our children will ever do. Hitting us, hitting somebody else, you know, biting, throwing things, trying to smash things, like any acts of aggression, we can have a very charged reaction to.
Yeah, I've noticed that I am quick to want to control. So if she is throwing something, I want her to go pick that up right now. Go pick that up right now. You have to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into that power
You get
struggle fight.
into a sparring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Your will against her will. And I will tell you, parents, you most often won't win.
Mm-hmm.
A 2-year old or a 3-year old, they're going to put their foot down and put it down hard. That's not our best way to respond. It's our knee jerk reaction, but we're going to go through some ideas here about how to respond. And first, I want to look at what's actually happening and why it might be happening. And then we'll get into some ways that you can respond that will hopefully shift the behavior. But before we do, I also wanted to point out for those of you who have not yet listened to episode number 94, when we interviewed Tina Hamilton, she talks about when we snap at our kids and when we have those knee jerk reactions, like you pointed out, Serena, it's often how you were treated when you would get tough and your parent would say not in my world, not in my house, whatever, like there was an aggressive reaction back. And so one of the things I want you to look at is how much of my reaction is coming from my own inner child wounding that might have happened when I was being raised in a way that wasn't as nurturing as it maybe could have been.
Yeah. When I was growing up, it was like, I'll show you who's boss. And
Yeah. Yeah. So there are some great details in there that could definitely be helped by getting some counseling as a parent. Who knew that having a baby meant we had to heal ourselves in order to be the best we could be for our littles? All right. So, what comes up for me very first thing when I get questions like this? And this specific question is, how old is your toddler? Now, I didn't know when I first started working with Jess, but I do know that now she is almost 3, so she's a 2-year-old. And the reason I wonder is because there are a whole lot of age related reasons why a child might be getting aggressive or showing aggression or hitting or throwing, that kind of thing. All right, so first we're going to look at those things. First of all, toddlers are going through such rapid growth, both in their physical being and in their brain development. They can easily feel overwhelmed, and especially overwhelmed in the emotional realm. Okay. Remember, toddlers do not have the ability to emotionally regulate their behavior. If their emotions get big, either upset or even super excited, as in the case of grandma arriving, maybe, they might respond with physicality. And sometimes, in the case of your little one, being excited to see grandma, it can be inappropriate physical responses that sometimes get expressed.
Knowing that right there, just the fact that they aren't able to control their emotions, that's something that I need to tell myself in the moment to stop myself from reacting. And knowing that alone is enough to help me look at it from my child's point of view and understand her and not get into that power struggle with her. It's just something she doesn't know and she doesn't have control of.
Yes. I think our last listener Q&A, our listener had said, she even wrote it on her hand one day that said, my child is acting her age.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. We don't get lessons in how to be a parent, which include child development. You know, what's appropriate at 2 years old?
It's like in our recent episode of sharing, we expect our little ones to share. They literally do not understand the concept of sharing. So
exactly. They don't have the brain development. Oh my goodness, right? So much of parenting could be so much easier if we all studied. Maybe we should be studying this in high school. Maybe this should be a definite, whether or not you're having children, but let's study child development.
I agree. I think that's very crucial because what's more important than raising the next generation?
Yeah. And even if you don't have children, probably your best friends will, your sisters or brothers will. You're going to be in the lives of young children, most likely. Anyway, that's not what our schools teach, sadly. So we're here to help if we can in any way at all. And another thing that's not yet developed in toddlers is what we call impulse control. You may have noticed that toddlers and young children are very impulsive. Hitting and throwing things might be the immediate impulsive reaction to frustration, overstimulation, or even when they're trying to express the need for connection. Right? Come up and start hitting you. And what they really need is just to reconnect because you've been busy, you've been distracted. They might have been in front of a screen, whatever's going on. They need something. And impulse control, they don't have. So out comes the explosion. Okay. And of course, another thing that is underdeveloped in toddlers is language and their ability to communicate verbally. Their lack of verbal communication skills at these young ages is often the number one underlying reason for toddlers asserting themselves with aggressive, impulsive behaviors. Almost always, it's right up there with the top reason why hitting is happening or throwing is happening. They don't have the language. So we're going to look at some examples of how to give them the language when we get into the specifics. Yeah, so when a toddler hits, it is most often due to their lack of being able to communicate what they're trying or wanting to communicate. And it's not aggression for aggression's sake. Your child is not being quote unquote bad. I don't like using that term because I don't believe in it, but they're not just being aggressive little kids. They are trying to communicate something.
They're doing what they know, the only thing they know.
They're doing what they know. They're acting their age.
Mm-hmm.
If we misinterpret a toddler hitting or throwing things as a discipline problem, like they're being bad or that's bad behavior or whatever, and we deal with it as such, we might actually see the problem continue or even get worse. When we realize that a toddler acting out impulsively like this is actually a communication problem rather than a discipline problem, it can really help us respond in more helpful ways. Does that make sense?
It does. So if my daughter is throwing something and I take that as, oh, she's just being defiant, or she's calling out for attention, she's just being bad, then I'm going to react. Versus if my daughter throws something and I think to myself, she's throwing something, maybe she's hungry, maybe she's tired, maybe I've been ignoring her all day and she just needs my attention, then I'm more likely to come to her and answer her needs or figure out what her needs are versus reacting.
Exactly. Excellent, excellent. So when you said earlier in the conversation, when she throws something, what your impulse inside is you go pick that up and you pick it up right now because I'm the boss, which is how you were raised, right?
Yes.
Like I am the boss. You do what I say. You cannot do that. That's responding to her, reacting to her like it's a discipline problem.
Mm-hmm.
And this, what you just said now is if she throws that thing and you feel that impulse come up in your body, I want you to notice that impulse and go, ooh, that's my inner child. That's my child going, now I'm the parent and I get to say. Because what happened to me when I was a kid was you were the parent and you got to say, and that didn't feel good. So now I'm the parent and I'm going to take control.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to notice. And if you can, take that deep breath, count to 5, up and down, backwards and forwards, whatever you can do. Count to 10 by twos and then count backwards by twos, whatever you can do. Take that moment, okay? And realize that it's a communication problem and not a discipline problem. I think that might help.
I think it will.
So let's look at how we get there, how we get to these aggressive behaviors. Sometimes, and it's interesting, Serena, that you talked about this from your own childhood because you've talked about it before, and we know that you had an authoritarian dad. And so, and here you are, like you're acting out and you're getting told what for by dad, right? And so my first point that I want to look at, there's all these different reasons why a child might be acting out like this in aggressive ways, hitting, throwing things, trying to break things, that kind of stuff. Sometimes we see aggressive behaviors in children who are given very strict limitations, like they don't have much say in their world. If they feel very restricted in what they're allowed to do and very strict about what they're not allowed to do, and if they are constantly being told no, or they get power over them. Okay. So I have a few episode suggestions for people to listen to if this sounds like it might be you, or if you're just curious to dive a little deeper in. Do you want to give them that, Serena?
Yes, episode number 45, connection before correction, and how to shift from saying no to being a yes parent while maintaining boundaries.
Yes. Okay, and another reason why you might be seeing this aggressive behavior coming out, you just pointed to, Serena, your child might just possibly be needing more you time, mama time, dad time, parent time, that connection time, right? Do you get snuggly, comforting times together every day? In a busy, busy world that I know you guys are all living in, it's really, this basic thing that our children need, and it can be a real challenge. If you're commuting to work and you're getting home exhausted and you've got to get dinner and get them into the bath and into bed, like, when do you get that one-to-one close and snuggly time? It's imperative. And if you make it a priority, it's going to be preventative for some of this behavior stuff, right?
I was going to say the same thing. For us, sometimes, and it's sad to say this, it's hard to make our kids a priority when the laundry's piled up, the dishes are piled up, it's getting late and it's time to eat dinner, or it's time for a bath and you're already exhausted. It's hard to make that one-on-one time a priority. But if you find those little pockets in that day and you say, the laundry can wait, and you just cuddle your baby for 5 minutes.
Yes.
That's all. 5 minutes.
And if you need to, set the timer. Say, I've got 5 minutes. Let's snuggle. Let's sing a song. Let's do a dance. Let's read a story. 5 minutes. Here's the timer. When it goes off, we got to do the next thing of our day, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sometimes my daughter doesn't even want more than that. If I give her a little too much attention, then she's like, get away.
I'm done. Exactly. But yeah, so working on the connection, and there's another episode there.
Episode number 95, and that's about separation anxiety. And it has nice reminders for some simple ways to make connection a priority.
Nice. Okay, another way to look at where this might be coming from is sometimes a child's brain and body growth and development are understimulated. Is your child getting enough time outside? If it's pouring rain or freezing cold or boiling hot or whatever, are you getting enough big muscle activities happening inside? Simplest way to do that, have dance parties every day. If the energy starts going, if the aggression starts building up, do a dance party, put the music on loud and you dance with them. But get that energy out, get those bodies moving. Our bodies, we are mammals. Remember, this is what Amma likes to remind us. We are mammals. Our young children and ourselves, but our young children need to move their bodies. Also, are they getting enough sensory activities, enough open-ended playtime? These all offer stimulation for the growing brain. They are not just nice, they are pretty necessary for healthy development.
And you can learn more about those. And we have a few episodes on these because it is so important, but they'll be in the show notes. Episode number 58 is screen-free activities to keep your littles entertained. Lots about sensory play there. Then we have episode number 85, experience all outdoors. I love that episode. Episode number 89, readiness tools for school, which is really just about open-ended play because it is so beneficial. And then episode number 91, the benefits of allowing your kids to be messy.
Awesome. All right. Now, what about this way of looking at why this aggression is showing up? Is your child's life too busy with too many organized things happening? They have to get up, they have to get dressed, they have to eat, they have to get out the door, they have to go to daycare, they have to come home, they have to do this, they have to do that, they have to do this. There's no time to process their life.
And you can hear more about that in episode number 83, Busy, 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 and episode number 90, Let Them Be Bored. And I've seen in my child, she's in daycare, and in our parent group chat, one mom she asked all the other parents, what activities are your kids in? Because I only have my daughter in swimming and dance, and I feel like she needs more. Like, listen to the nurturing parent.
Yeah. There's such a push in current day society, guys. It's just like get them in all the activities. And the studies are actually showing that they will not be further ahead by the time they're in grade 3, maybe in kindergarten, grade 1. They may have some quote unquote ahead, but by the time they're in grade 3 and onwards, in fact, it can make them less successful in school and in life in general.
I think it was in episode number 90, Let Them Be Bored, that you spoke about what was it called? The wool pickers, wool gatherers. And now whenever I see my daughter just gazing out the window when we're in a car ride, I am so happy.
Yes, she's wool gathering.
Yes, I love that.
It's so important. Our brains need that downtime too. And another one, of course, is kind of obvious of why we might be seeing more aggression. It is your child getting too much screen time. I want to tell you, and most parents don't like hearing this, but before the age of 2, the American Pediatrics Association recommends none, 0, no screen time. There is a direct correlation between aggressive behaviors and screen time. Even if it seems like they're just watching nice, happy little shows that are very non-aggressive, I want to explain to you, and I'm not going to go deep into this, but the thing is, maybe we'll get a professional on who can talk to us about this. Our brains have a really hard time reading all the information that's on a screen that shows us a picture. Like it's dots, the dots per inch, DPI. That's what our brains are having to do. They're having to read that really fast. And mammals don't actually have screens in their natural world. It's very challenging for our brains. So it's not just that our children are getting less physical activity because they're watching screens, and they're getting less creative activity, in creative play and creative art because they're watching screens. It's also actually because screens are really hard for us to process, especially for young brains. So yeah, that's the place I really want you to look if you're getting a lot of aggressive behavior. And again, most parents will say, oh, but it's just so easy to put them in front of a screen because they quiet down. But in the long run, how's it going for you?
Yeah, it might seem easy, but I know when my daughter, after the screen, she's like a different child.
Yeah.
Whereas if we wake up in the morning and she's just playing and there's quiet, whereas some mornings I'll wake up and I'll put on a show for her, and it's just a whole different vibe.
It really, really is, isn't it? I love that you can see that you're noticing that. And also the last one I want to look at before we get into some specifics for Jess is if a child does not have enough boundaries, a child might lash out with hitting and aggression, seeking to discover where some of the edges of what is allowed and what's not allowed, so that they can remember that security that boundaries can bring them.
And you can learn more about that in episode number 69, Stick to Your No, and episode number 71, Nurturing Parent 101, which is a great one.
Okay, so for the other generalized, your child is throwing things or not trying to break things or whatever that is. And you've watched for it happening and trying to find where the seed of that behavior was. But if the throwing happens, or the hitting, or the pushing, or the trying to break something, here's what I want you to do. Number one, stop the behavior. Gently but firmly remove the toy or remove the child or catch their arm mid-swing or mid-throw. And give her the words. I can see you're frustrated that mama said it's time to clean up and you would like to keep playing. I get that that can be upsetting, and I can't let you throw toys. Something could get broken. Someone could get hurt. Throwing toys is not okay. Tell me with your words. Say, I'm mad, mama. I don't want to clean up. I'm having fun. And mama did say that when the timer went off, it would be cleanup time. Would you like to toss the toys in the basket or gather up the dollhouse things? So that's the whole, there's a script there. Like, you want to acknowledge the frustration, the feeling. You want to give them the words. You want to tell them what's not okay, give them the boundary, and give them the words that they can say to express their feelings. Okay. Even for the nonverbal child, I did this all the time in the under threes daycare. They were 18 months old, 2 years old, 25, 26, 28 months. And we did this all the time, and it worked like a golden charm.
It might feel a little ridiculous, or you might, especially if somebody else is in the room and they're like, why are you talking to your baby? They don't know what you're saying. Do it anyway.
Do it anyway. They will learn. Yes, yes, yes. We have an episode about the 50 million reasons why you should be talking to your babies.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing I really want to point out is I want you to notice when she is gentle, when she does respond in ways that you would like her to. Give those behaviors more energy, not overdoing it. but sometimes we tend to give our children mostly negative energy, especially if they're going through that kind of negative behavior phase for whatever reasons. And we listed all the reasons before, right? But I just take a breather when they're acting in more acceptable ways and notice those. Ooh, I like how you told me you were frustrated with your words, mama or dad, even though you didn't like their words, even though you're not going to bend the boundary, you can tell her, I like how you told me how frustrated you were. And that's what I call being a clear communicator. Like, pump her up for those things, right? Let's get this tidying up done so we have time for a snuggle and a story on the couch. Okay, let's look at Jess's specific situations quickly. And I want to say that I'm going to talk about the hitting grandma scene, but this can help for any child who's hitting anybody. If it's a friend, if it's a sibling, if it's you, whoever it is. If it's somebody else, like another adult, I want you, Jess, to explain to grandma before the next interaction how you're going to newly approach this hitting situation. And grandma has to be on board for this to work. I want you to pre-pave with your daughter when you know grandma's coming, how it's going to go. That you're going to be practicing some gentle hellos. You don't have to say very much, but you do need to let her know with a happy and positive tone that you'll be working with her, with your daughter, to learn some gentle ways to say hello and greet people that you love. I want you to make sure that she's well rested, not hungry, and not thirsty before grandma arrives, or if it's a child playing a play date, before the play date, you know, that kind of thing. Those things can definitely lead to bigger regulation blow-ups if they're hungry or tired. Okay, here we go. When grandma arrives, you will hold your toddler, Jess, and not have her go to grandma today. You can choose to not get close enough for the hitting to occur, or if you typically lean in to give a hug or a kiss to your mom, You can do so with your daughter in your arms as long as you're holding her in such a way that she can't hit. So you've got her hands or her arms gently held in your hand, your arm that's holding her. So go in for your hug and then step back, and then model with your words and tone of voice how to greet somebody you're excited to see. It's so good to see you. I wonder what fun we'll have today. I'm excited for our day. So you're giving your daughter examples of what she might say when she's able to talk. And Jess did say she's quite verbal, so she might be able to say a lot of that fairly soon. If your daughter wants to go to grandma, say, I know you'd love to have hug grandma hello, but today mama is going to hold you and we're going to say hello together. It's important to learn to say happy hellos without hitting. If she insists she won't hit, I promise I won't hit. Simply say, that's great. And today mama's going to hold you. You can try a hug next time if you feel ready. And the next time grandma arrives, begin the greeting with your daughter in your arms. She may ask to go to grandma. And if she doesn't insist, then just keep holding her and do the same as day one. But if she does, you can say, are you ready? Are you ready to say hi to grandma without hitting? If she says yes, then you ask grandma, are you ready for a hug hello? And if grandma says yes, now you're modeling getting consent, right? Okay, grandma is ready for you to say a gentle hello. Now, here's the key point. I want you to watch very closely. I want you to stay close. I want you to watch her body language, facial expressions. There might be some kind of a vocal thing that changes, anything that might alert you to the fact that she's building up that impulse, lack of control that's going to come out in a hit or a slap. And I want you to intervene before the hit happens, if possible. You're going to gently take her and pull her back into your arms and say, I can't let you hit grandma. Hitting hurts. Really basic information. With all behaviors you'd like to shift, your job is to notice when the seed of the behavior was planted. Where is this behavior stemming from? What happened earlier that is resulting in hitting or throwing or trying to break objects? Was the child given a limit they didn't like? Is the child bored and not in a good way? Is the child overtired or hungry or overstimulated? Our job as parents and caregivers is to learn to intercept before the behavior happens. That's the aim. So just practice seeing it earlier and earlier. These things don't just, a hit just doesn't happen. A throwing toy doesn't happen out of the blue. Something led up to that. Your job is to get it sooner and sooner so you can stop it before it actually happens. Okay, I think that's enough for today. That was a lot, and we gave you a lot of other episodes to get some further research in for yourselves. And let us know which of these things helped you, Jess. If you can get back to us, we would love that. And all of the rest of you parents, let us know what helps in this, because we know you're not alone with your child's, your angelic little beautiful child suddenly lashing out and hitting or throwing things or, all those things. All right. Well, like I tell you every week, we love you. We're here for you. Reach out when you need to. Thanks.
I want to thank our nurturing mamas, Jess and Malia, for letting us into their families and taking the time to write to us. I learned a lot in this episode and want to share my gems with you. Number one is that our kids do not have the brain development that allows them to have impulse control, and they also lack the ability to verbally communicate their needs or feelings. And sometimes I think we lack the brain development to understand that our kids lack the brain development over certain functions, and that's out of their power. And we get so mad and frustrated because we cannot understand that concept. But I hope you do after today's episode, at least a little, because it takes a lot of reminding too to actually nail it into your head. I'm still working on that myself. Number 2 is noticing, where did this behavior come from? So some things that you can consider here are there very strict limitations? Do your kids need more quality time? Are they understimulated? Are they overstimulated? Do they not have enough boundaries put in place, or are they not consistent? And then my grandpa always says, halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Lonely was maybe need more quality time, but is your kid hungry, angry, or tired? I know when my girls are tired, that's when they start kicking, and it drives me insane. But I've been able to put that switch in my head. Once they start kicking me, they're just tired, and it's time to go to bed. I'm not going to get mad. It's just, let's go. And then lastly, practice noticing so you can catch it before it happens. And I want to emphasize practice and noticing, because it does take a lot of practice, and you need to be paying attention so that you can notice when it's about to happen and catch it before it does. So maybe less screen time for us too, mamas, so we can be paying attention to what's going on in our kids' worlds. All right. So I just want to remind you that our 100th episode is around the corner, and the best gift you can give us is letting us know this podcast has helped you. So we're accepting voice notes from you, letting us know what your favorite or most useful parenting tool is and how it's helped you. Just DM us or email us, and we'll give you the script that we need, and you can send over a voice note, and we'll put it in a compilation of other nurturing mamas and dads that have found this podcast useful. And that's how we would love to celebrate our 100th episode. It would mean the world to us. So if you can take a little time out of your day, in the show notes, you'll find our Instagram, if it's easier for you to just DM us through Instagram, or you can email us, and that is in our show notes as well. But our email is thenurturingparent.pod@gmail.com. And you can let us know that you'd like to be part of our 100th episode celebration, and we'll let you know what we need from you. All right, mamas, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Take care.